Hi, everybody. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, great holiday weekend. I'm here to get my thoughts and reaction out to the Packers' Thanksgiving victory over the Miami Dolphins. I know this is a couple days late, but it has been a very busy holiday weekend, as I'm sure it has been for all of you. I was able to attend the game. I was able to take my wife to her very first Packer game, and it was a great Packer game. The snow was falling. It was cold. It was a beautiful night at Lambeau Field, especially as the Packers took home the victory, defeating the Miami Dolphins 30-17. Now, me as a Packer fan, going into this as probably every other Packer fan, the only important thing that needed to happen on Thanksgiving night was that Jordan Love needed to get his turkey leg. And after 371 days, justice was served, and Jordan received his turkey leg, made by none other than Leroy Butler. So it was a great end to a wonderful holiday, great game. Let's get into it. First, we'll start with injuries. The Packers were, again, without Jaire Alexander and Edgerrin Cooper, and also Romeo Doubs was in concussion protocol, so he did not play. So the Packers out just a couple guys, but like I said last week and probably other weeks, other guys stepped up when they needed to. This was only the second time the Green Bay Packers have hosted a Thanksgiving game in Lambeau Field. The first time was back in 2015, the night that the Packers retired Brett Favre's number, when it was a loss to the Chicago Bears. This game obviously ended very differently. So as always, we will start with the offense. Jordan Love played an efficient game, no turnovers. He was 21 of 28 for 274 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, a second straight game of Jordan having no turnovers, playing smart football, only making smart passes, and great decisions. Josh Jacobs was obviously the leading rusher. He had 19 attempts for 43 yards and a rushing touchdown, but what he made up for the lack of rushing yards, he made it up for it in the receiving game, with 4 receptions for 74 yards. Obviously, one of those being a big gain late in the game. Tucker Kraft was the leading receiver for 4 receptions for 78 yards. 6 receptions for 78 yards. Tucker Kraft continues to just be a bull, just running through people. The yards after catch for him are just perfect. They're staggering. They're great. I really love what Tucker Kraft continues to do at week in, week out for this Packers offense. Christian Watson had 2 receptions for 67 yards. He would have had more, but unfortunately there was a defensive PI that wasn't called. Had the guy knock out his hand in there, I do believe Christian would have had another big catch and a touchdown late in the game. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, Jayden Reed. Jayden Reed had 3 receptions for 24 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the Green Bay Packers continue to have wide receivers every single week that step up and make the plays that need to happen when you have guys like Romeo Doubs out. On defense, we'll start with special teams. Robert Rochelle had a fumble recovery after Malik Washington muffed the punt after the Packers' first drive failed. The Packers punted it away. Malik Washington muffed it, and Robert Rochelle was able to come up with the ball right near the Packer goal line. It was 1st and goal, and the Packers were able to get a touchdown right away and really just kind of set in motion their dominance for the entire game. The Packers' defense really doing a very good job of containing not only Tua, but Achane and Mostert. Leading the way with tackles this week, Isaiah McDuffie had 10 total tackles, so he was really a ball hawk today, all over the field, just tackling people left and right. 5 total sacks for the Packers today, or Thursday. 5 total sacks, keeping that pressure on Tua. Quay had a sack, and Igbari had a sack. Brenton Cox Jr. had a sack. Van Ness had a sack, and Kenny Clark getting his first sack of the season. I was very, very happy to see the pressure and the pass rush that the Packers were able to do. That's been something the Packers been lacking all season. Really, not only this week but also last week Sunday, the Packers have been doing a very, very good job of pressure. Very, very good job. The Packers were 3 for 5 in the red zone, so not perfect like they were against the Niners, but more than enough to win this game. 5 for 11 on third. That needs to get a little bit better, especially in some of the late game situations where you can kind of put the game away a lot sooner than what it felt like they did. Gotta make those third downs. Gotta make those conversions. Unfortunately, the Packers were kind of unsuccessful, and for the most part, 7 penalties for 44 yards. Not good, not great, but not bad. I mean, just a couple boneheaded stuff here and there that they do need to tweak, but fortunately for them, none of the penalties really caused too many issues for them. We'll quickly go over the Dolphins side of the ball on offense. Tua, again, pressured a lot, but he did make up for a lot of the lack of rushing by having 365 passing yards and 2 touchdowns on 37 passes on 46 attempts. So Tua doing a very good job of just making plays happen like he always does. Like I said, they made up from the passing game what they couldn't do in the rushing game. The Packers held the Dolphins to only 39 rushing yards. Held Mostert to only 19 and Achane to only 14. But Achane also did have a reception TD. Holding those guys in check was big, and a big reason why the Dolphins only scored 17 points. And didn't score, and only scored 14 points in the second half, held them to only 3 in the first half. Jonnu Smith was their leading receiver with 10 receptions for 113 yards. Tyreek Hill, 6 receptions for 83 yards. He also did have a receiving TD, but it was kind of like a lucky thing. The ball bounced off somebody else and kind of right into his hands in the end zone. So not really the Packers' fault, but, whatever. Jalen Waddle only 4 receptions for 33 yards. So keeping those big guys kind of in check for the most part. No huge plays that really turned the tide of the game. The Packers were in control for pretty much the entire time. No sacks for the Dolphins defense. The Packers O-line doing an excellent job of protecting Jordan Love. The Miami Dolphins were 4 of 14 on third down and 3 of 5 on fourth down. Obviously, the biggest fourth down failure being near the goal line in the fourth, with 9.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where the Packers were able to hold and kind of steal the game at that point. 10 penalties for 75 yards on the Dolphins. Not great. Obviously, some of those were drive killers for the Dolphins. Kind of looking ahead for both of these teams, the Packers are now 9-3, and they don't get the 10-day break, but they do get a 7-day break. They will go into Detroit to face the Blue Kitties on Thursday in Detroit. So this is going to be a big NFC North battle. The Blue Kitties are 11-1, Packers 9-3. If the Packers are able to come out of Detroit with a win, it would be huge and kind of feel like the North is still in play. But they're going to have their hands full. They got to contain the Lions' explosive offense, but I guess lucky, but not lucky. It's not good. You don't want people hurt. But the Lions suffering even more defensive players getting injured on early on Thanksgiving Day against the Bears. It seemed like every other play, another Lions defensive player was down. So the Packers could and should make use of the Lions being down a lot of guys. But it's going to be a tough battle. I do think the Packers can win. Obviously, Sunday is tomorrow. We got to hope that the Cardinals beat the Vikings. And if that happens, then a Packers victory in Detroit would mean even more. Heading forward, moving forward for the Dolphins, their season's not over yet, although it kind of feels like it is, especially if the Bills win tomorrow night. Then the Bills already clinched the division, and in kind of a pretty heavy and good AFC, it kind of seems like the wild card really isn't going to happen for the Dolphins. Moving forward for them, they're 5-7. They take on the Green Bay East, the New York Jets. Next Sunday, the Jets are, I think they're 3-8, and the Jets are not. I mean, their season's already over, so the Dolphins should win that game, but we'll see. What I got written down there? Yeah, Jets next. So overall, great game for the Packers. It was great to be there. Great to celebrate Thanksgiving night at Lambeau Field with my wife. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast. And of course, the Packers getting the win even makes it even better. So moving forward, I'm still very, very confident in this Packers team. We can still win the North. We could still technically get that number 1 seed too. So it is looking pretty good for the Packers right now. They seem to be getting hot at just the right time. So I'll be back next week to cover the Packers and Lions. Until then, go Pack Go.